I've been informed by the staff outside that we have a quorum. Therefore, I will call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take special notice of the exits from this room as well as the people who are in the cafeteria. We're entering through this exit entrance over here. We are exiting through the one to my right. Other special announcements this evening, because we are split between non-voters who are in the cafeteria and voters who are in the building. Here, if they are here to speak on a particular item at the request of a committee or a group, they will be coming to the police officer at the entrance door, and he will notify me that someone from that room wishes to speak. I'd like to introduce the people who are at the front this evening. I'll begin on my right. Brian Riley, he's the attorney representing us this evening to keep us all on the straight and narrow. Brian. Our town clerk, Wendy Stevens. To my left, the Finance Committee. Behind them, the School Committee. Behind me, the Board of Selectmen and our town manager. I have a few slides to show this evening. We're here to conduct the business of the town in an open and an expeditious manner. To that end, I would ask you to please respect the opinions of the speakers and the town officials. If you wish to speak, you must approach one of the two microphones in the hall, and I will not recognize anyone from their seat. Please respect the 6-foot distancing as well. Once the speaker at the microphone has been recognized by me, that person needs to provide his or her name and address for the records of the town meeting. Under Robert's rules, all speakers are limited to 2 comments on the particular topic at hand. And please do not stray from the topic to something else. And I will not accept any disruptions to this meeting. If a disruption occurs, I will request the police officer on duty to remove the individuals. We can't get stuff done if we've got people heckling and yelling. So please respect that, and this meeting will get done as quickly and easily as possible. We'll begin with the special town meeting. Article 1 is before you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
The motion has been moved, and do I hear a second? Seconded. To see if the town will vote to hear and act on the reports of the Finance Committee or act in relation thereto. Chairman of the Finance Committee? None?
None.
They have none, so we will pass over that article. Do I need a motion to pass over? A motion to pass over has been moved and seconded. Okay. Does everyone know how to use these? No? Okay. It's press 1 for yes. Wait a minute. Press A for yes. Press B for no. So all those in favor of passing over this article, please press A for yes or B for no. Hold on. Temporary technical difficulty. Okay, press 1 for yes, press 2 for no to pass over the motion. And the results are 92% yes, 8% no. The motion passes. Article 2, Selectman Labrie will read the article for me, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. To see if, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $6,141.75 for the payment of bills of a prior fiscal year for the town of Winchendon as printed in the warrant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 2 as presented. This must pass by a 9/10 vote. Does anyone have any questions related to this article? If so, please come to the microphone. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by pressing A for yes. Those opposed, no, B. And it passed by 91% to 9%. Thank you very much. That's passed as well. Okay, let's continue on with the regular town meeting, please. And that begins on page 5 of your booklet. Article 1 will be read by somebody from the Finance Committee, please.
We need to close the special town meeting.
Can you hold that? We need to close the special town meeting. All those in favor, do I have a motion to close the special town meeting?
So moved.
Second? Seconded? All those in favor? A is what? Oral vote, please. The slide didn't come up. All those in favor of closing the special town meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, Article 1.
Thank you. The Finance Committee report this evening focuses on something a little bit different. Typically, we take a look at where the town is spending its money. In this time of pandemic, we really need to understand where our revenues come from. If you look at the next slide. Basically, three major sources of revenue for the town. As you can see in the slide, the biggest piece of that comes from the state. State aid provides 46.5% of all the revenue the town uses to run town government. Right behind that is property tax, 43.2%. Local receipts, which would include things like auto excise tax, permits, business licenses, things of that nature, provide about 9%, $2.7 million. Indirect costs and transfers, those come from indirect costs by the enterprise funds and the school department funds come for about 1% of it. I point it out to you because Winchendon has a very high percentage of revenue that comes from the state. It has to do with economic factors that the state uses to develop formulas to determine how much money to share with the towns. A big part of that, as you'll see in a minute, is for education. The state right now is in a very difficult situation because of the downturn in the economy due to the pandemic. Their shortfall right now is about $6 billion. So there's a lot of questions about how they're going to fill that hole and how they're going to be able to continue supporting cities and towns at the level that they have become accustomed to. So it's something that we need to pay very close attention to because we're highly dependent on the state aid that we receive here in Winchton. If you look at a breakdown of where that state aid comes from, as you can see, the lion's share of it is for education. Fully 81% of that $14 million, or almost $11.5 million, is here to support educating our children. General government picks up about 12.7%, or about almost $1.8 million. You put those two sources together, and you're looking at about 94% of all the state aid is in those two items: schools and aids to city and town. The other sources fluctuate a bit. They include reimbursement for our veterans aid. It includes pilot money from the state, and several other smaller sources of revenue for the town. If you look at the just the amount of money that comes from state aid for schools and the town, and project at what a 10% cut would be in that state aid, you can see that that would be about a $1.4 million cut in the town's revenue picture. To get to the budget that the town manager will review tonight, the town needed to lower its estimates on what it would receive for revenues. One reason that we're meeting now at the end of September instead of in May when we normally would is because the state was not ready at all to develop its budget. And without the cherry sheet numbers, which is the aid that we get from the state, the town certainly was no position to develop a budget when you don't know where 50% of your money is coming from. Fortunately, in the middle of the summer, the governor did declare that he would fund education and aid to cities and towns at last year's numbers, level funded last year's numbers. So in preparing for this budget, there's a reduction from the budget that the town manager put together back in January of $373,000. You can see that there's a reduction in the property tax of $150,000. That's a reduction from the 2.5% increase, and you cut that in half to 1.25%. Local receipts, which would be things like your automobile excise tax, it's your licensing, things of that nature, assume a guesswork of about 5% reduction in cost. The level funded state aid is almost minimal, the amount of money that was cut. 0.6% of 1% of the state aid got cut this year. You still could see some cuts in all those other sources of revenue from the state outside of education and aid to cities and towns. But with that $800,000 at that level, if we got a 10% cut, the town would probably be able to handle that over the course of the year. So we need to really be thinking about next year, because it's very unlikely that the state is going to be able to assume the kind of losses that it's experiencing in its revenues without passing that along to cities and towns in some way. Cut state programs is likely. We dodged a bullet this year, we're not likely to dodge it in the future. So what do we do? Well, one of the things we can do is try to make sure that we have maximized the best possible the amount of reserves that we have. And that brings us to look at free cash. If you look at the next slide, free cash that we started with at the end of FY19 amounted to $1.7 million, or $750,000. This is the first time we've been able to access free cash as a town in probably 8 or 9 years. We went through several years without any free cash, and we went through several years where the state required us to use our free cash to pay back the debt from the deficit borrowing. So, at the end of about a year ago, at the November or October town meeting, the town voted to spend about $1 million of that money on projects that have been building up and certainly addressing needs that the town has had. Most of the capital purchases that the town makes are made with free cash. It's like one-time money for one-time purchases. So at the end of the town meeting last year, the town had about $687,000 in free cash. Tonight's meeting, there are several articles that would be funded through the use of free cash. And they add up to about $461,000. So when you subtract that from what we began, we'd find that the remaining free cash is $226,000. Now, between the time I made the handout that you all have and tonight's meeting, we moved from an estimated amount of free cash to an actual amount of free cash that was generated in FY20. So that number is up here. It's $1,261,000. So add that to the $226,000, and after tonight's meeting, we have no less than $1,487,000. We could have more than that if people don't pass the warrant articles that are funded through free cash. But this is a safe number to assume that what we'll have. So if we look at all our reserve funds, we've got $1,150,000 in stabilization. We've got free cash now of at least $1,487,000. And our deficit reserve fund of $323,000. And let me just remind you what that is. When we were paying back the deficit loan that we took out, the state legislature required us to set up a separate reserve fund that we had to add to every year. We actually had some special legislation to allow us to access that money this year. One of the warrant articles would ask that you vote to move that money into a reserve account that the Finance Committee would have authority over to deal with any of the uncertainties that we are facing as we move forward in these economic times. It gives us a cushion for this year. Ideally, it's a cushion we don't need to use, but it's there if we need it. But you add up all three of those sources, and we're just under $3 million in reserves. It's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money if you're looking at a couple of years of 10% cuts in state aid. And that could be a modest number. We got lucky. Maybe the federal government will come in and bail out the states. They haven't done that yet. And in which case, the worst thing that would happen is we'd have a nice reserve to move forward with. But right now, we need to be thinking about making sure that we keep that reserve as a reserve for the next couple of years. It's really the next town meeting that the temptation to develop some warrant articles that would depend on use of free cash is where we'll need to really have some discipline in fiscal management. So that is the point of the Finance Committee's report tonight. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them.
I'd like to move the motion and open it up for questions first. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the report of the Finance Committee. Does anyone have any questions for the members of the committee? Please come to the microphone, identify your name and address, please.
Hello, Ryan Forsyth, Lakeshore Drive. I'm just curious why the Finance Committee is confident in the lack of a reduction during FY20, and that it is not more likely that the state still has the ability, without a finalized budget, to cut us as much as 10 or 15% this year.
what we have, I guess, is the governor's word. He said that the state budget, the support for Chapter 70, the education money, and the cities and towns level funding. So that's a guarantee. That was the guarantee that allowed us to move forward and develop a budget for the town. The other piece of it, all the other things that add up to about $850,000, that is not certain. We could see some cuts in that. As I said, if we saw a 10% cut, I think it's something that the town would be able to handle. That would be about $85,000. 20% cut is not out of the question either. So for this year, knowing we're going to get the the state aid for schools and for local town government, but we're pretty confident that we do not have too many unknowns out there that would blow a hole in the budget.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please use your keypad. All those in favor of accepting the Finance Committee report with a yes is A, with a no is B. Please vote. And it passes 93% to 7%. The motion passes. Article 2 will be, the article will be read by Selectman Ward, please.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to establish the town charter and bylaw review committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to vote on a charter and bylaw review committee. Any discussion on this item?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Article 7, Section 6 of the town charter requires the moderator to appoint a special committee of 7 members to review the current charter and bylaws and recommend any revisions or amendments that may be necessary or desirable. This is required in the charter for years ending in 5 or 0. So this is the year that the moderator needs to appoint a seven-member committee.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. And the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen is?
5 to 0.
5 to 0. The recommendation of the Finance Committee is?
The Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor with your keypad? 1 or A is yes, 2 or B is no. That passes 94% to 6%. The motion passes. Article 3 will be read by Selectman Barbaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome.
I move that the town vote to establish the annual spending limits of the revolving accounts as set forth in the warrant.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 3 as printed. The Board of Selectmen recommendation,
5 to 0.
5 to 0. The Finance Committee recommendation,
The Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Finance is 5 to 0. We'll hear from the maker of the motion, please.
Thank you. This is a customary article that allows us to use different accounts through town that we call revolving accounts that roll from year to year. I can run through them if you'd like. We have the Agricultural Commission for 1,000, large copier fees for 1,000. The extended day school for 10,000, damaged books for 5,000, summer school for 1,000, recycling board of health 1,000, composting board of health 1,000, arts lottery commission 7,500, wetland fees conservation 20,000, library property fees, library trustees 8,000, library material again through the trustees 8,000, student parking $5,000, and community development block grant income, $25,000.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
just to clarify, the Board of Selectmen vote on this was 4 in favor and 1 abstain. as a member of the Agricultural Commission, I abstained on this vote.
Okay, thank you for that notification. Is there anyone in the hall who wishes to ask a question? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 3 as presented, press 1 for A for yes, 2B for no. And it passes 88% to 12%. The motion passes. Our usual and customary financial articles all require a majority vote. Article 4 will be read by Selectman Salter.
Thank you. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,800 for the fiscal year 2021 senior workout program.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept Article 4. Board of Selectmen recommendation,
Board of Selectmen, 5-0.
5-0 for the Board of Selectmen. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
For Finance, 5-0. The maker of the motion, would you like to present your motion?
Yes, these funds are proposed to fund the fiscal year 2021 senior workout program. It's for seniors work at the town hall in exchange for a reduction in real estate taxes.
Does anyone in the hall have a question or comment? Hearing none, on your keypads, we'll vote on Article 4. Yes is A or 1, B is no or 2. And the vote is 94% to 6%. It passes by majority vote. Article 5 will be read by Selectman Anderson, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 as a grant to the Community Action Committee, 273 Central Street, Winchton, in consideration of the numerous services provided to the town, and in connection therewith, authorize the Board of Selectmen and Town Manager to enter into a grant agreement with the committee setting forth the terms and conditions thereof.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 5 as read. And the Board of Selectmen recommendation?
5-0.
5-0 for the Board. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Maker of the motion, would you speak on this article, please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This warrant article would fund a grant to the Community Action Committee, which entity provides important services to the residents of Winchton and neighboring communities.
Thank you. Would anyone in the hall have any questions? Hearing none, on your keypads. Article 5, yes is 1 or A, no is 2 or B. Vote now, please. And that motion passes by majority, 92% to 8%. Article 6 will be read by Selectman Barbara.
Thank you. I move the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from other available funds the total sum of $15,254,266 for the operating budget of the town for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, as set forth in the warrant under Article 6, with each line item in the budget as appearing in the warrant to be approved as a separate appropriation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and for this article, it is a long article. Selectman Barbara, would you please read each major area? If anyone wishes a hold on any one of those articles, you don't need to come to the mic at this time. Just say hold, and we will come back and work those articles. Okay?
School transportation. YMCA support.
Hold.
Selectmen expenses. The town manager. Town manager's office. Finance committee. Accounting. Assessor. Collector or treasurer. Legal expenses. Data processing.
Hold. Did I hear a hold on that? Okay, slow down, will you please, Mr.
Sure.
Barber?
Technology, community communications, town clerk, register of voters, conservation, planning board, zoning board, community development, town hall personnel and expenses, the police department, the dispatch, the fire department, the ambulance, land use, energy management, animal control, DPW administration, DPW highway, DPW fleet maintenance, DPW snow and ice, DPW street lighting, landfill, DPW cemetery, DPW tree trimming, Health Department, Board of Health, outside services, Board of Health visiting nurses, Council of Aging, Veterans Service, Beals Library, Recreation Committee, Historic Commission, Debt Service Principal, Debt Service Interest, State Assessment Expenses, other state assessment expenses, other regional expenses, pension, workman's comp, unemployment insurance, health insurance, life insurance, Medicare tax, property and liability insurance, transfer of water and capital improvements, total capital improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Barbaro. I believe the
That's it.
first hold is YMCA support. Would the person who asked for the hold come to the mic, please? Name and address, please. Oh, you can turn it around. Oh, I guess not. Okay.
Hi, Tina Santos, 117 Mill Street. There was just some questioning on Facebook that I just wanted to clarify for the ones that are here. On the YMCA, somebody was asking about the $10,000, and to my understanding, the $10,000 is for use of the field for medic transport and such for the field. Can they just clarify that and just confirm that, just so that way others are aware of what that $10,000 is entailed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the answer to that question is why are we giving the clerk $10,000? We give them $10,000 in order for them to keep that field available for us 24/7, 365 days a year in the event there's an accident in town. So a medevac helicopter has a safe place to land. This is a usual and customary article that's been on for many, many years.
I see no further polls. Does anyone else have a question? Hearing none, take out your keypads. A, yes. B, no. And it is 83% to 17%. That is a majority. It passes. Article 7, Selectman Labrie will read.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $905,848 from water receipts for the direct costs of the Water Department Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and that indirect costs of $153,023 appropriated on the general government budget be funded by water receipts.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 7 as read. The Board of Selectmen recommendation is
Board of Selectmen recommend 4-1.
4 to 1, and the Finance Committee recommendation is
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Finance is 5-0. Would the maker of the motion like to make her presentation?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Again, a usual and customary article. The water receipts go into a fund as the money is received by the town. And this article authorizes the town to take those funds and use them in the running of the water department. It just authorizes the use of the money.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If so, please come to the mic. Seeing none, keypads, A for yes, B for no. %77 yes, 23% no. The motion passes. Article 8, Selectman Labrie, please.
Thank you again, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $1,283,013, which is consisting of a wastewater receipts of $973,013 and betterment revenues of $310,000 for the direct costs of the wastewater treatment department enterprise fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and that indirect costs of $138,825 appropriated on the general government budget be funded by wastewater receipts.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question in the hall? Would you please come to the microphone? State your...
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. There was a second before. Yeah. Please state your name and address.
Danielle Lapointe, 518 Central Street. My question is only, I would like some insight as to the one vote to not recommend from the Board of Selectmen, if they could explain the reason for the no.
Would the selectman please provide a response?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I was the selectman to vote no on the wastewater article, and the reason for that is because, in my opinion, since we have outsourced our wastewater treatment plant to Veolia, our costs have increased astronomically, causing our sewer rates to rise 14.6% this year. They're expected to rise the same for the next 4 years.
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's do the keypads. A is yes, B is no. %61 to 39%. This was a majority vote, and the majority is in the positive. It is passed. Article 9, Selectman Barbaro.
Thank you. I move the town vote to appropriate the sum of $482 for the transfer station receipts for the direct cost of the transfer station enterprise fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and an indirect cost of $21,569 appropriated on the general government budget be funded by the transfer station receipts.
Thank you. I hear a second. And the Board of Selectmen recommendation?
5-0.
5-0. And the Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Also 5-0. Does anyone in the hall, I'm sorry, will the maker of the motion please do your presentation?
Thank you. This allows us to run the transfer station for the FY21 fiscal year. There are no fee increases proposed to support this budget at this time.
Does anyone in the hall have questions? Hearing none, on your keypad. A yes vote is A, a B vote is no. And it passes 90% to 10%. 10, a member of the school committee, would you please read the article?
Hi, I'm Larry Murphy. I'm the vice chair of the school committee. And Article 10, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,787,063.32, required net school spending of $16,828,037, plus $347,908.58 prior year override, including a 2.5% escalator plus $50,000 from the solar pilot revenues, less $3,438,882.25 for net school spending eligible indirect costs budgeted in the general government budget for school expenses for the operating budget of the Winchendon Public Schools for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 10 as read. The selectmen's recommendation, please.
4-0 and 1 abstention.
Thank you. 4-0 and 1. And Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0. And would the maker of the motion please make the presentation?
This budget is the amount requested by the school committee for FY21 school department operations. The proposed school department budget has been discussed and approved by the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the school committee.
Does anyone have any questions in the hall? Hearing none, on your keypads. Yes is A, no is B. (86% to 14%) is a majority vote. The article passes. Article 11. Selectman Ward, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $837,901 to fund the town's assessment for the Montechusett Regional Vocational Technical School for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 11 as read. Recommendation of the Board of Selectmen?
4-1.
4-1 for the Board. And Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0. Would the maker of the motion please speak?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article proposes funding for the fiscal year 21 assessment from the Montechusett Regional Vocational Technical School for the town's proportionate share of district costs.
Does anyone in the hall have a question? Seeing none, all those in favor, A is yes, B is no. Please vote.
Stand up.
And again, a majority is 75% to 25%. Motion passes. Article 12, Selectman Labrie, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move the town to accept a portion of Central Street as heretofore laid out by the Board of Selectmen and shown on a plan of land entitled Central Street, Route 202 in the town of Winchendon, dated July 12, 2016, prepared by Northeast Survey Consultants. Said plan on file with the town clerk.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 12 as read. Recommendation of Board of Selectmen?
Board of Selectmen recommends approval 5-0.
5-0 from the Selectmen. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 from the Finance Committee. Would you like to speak to the motion, please, Selectman Labrie?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. As some of you should know, Central Street is going to be revamped. Last word is it's still kind of on track. Mr. Hickey was going to start when? Next year? 2021, I think. And doing the preliminary work, we discovered that there was a small portion of Central Street that was never actually accepted by the town as a public way. In order for the state to work on that, we have to take this step and actually accept it as a public way. It's already been laid out to the specifications, but this is a step that was missed at some point years ago when we did Central Street, and so we're correcting that now so that the improvements on Central Street can move forward.
Thank you. Does anyone in the hall have a question? Seeing none, all those in favor, A is yes, B is no. And it's a majority vote, 94% to 6%. Motion passes. Article 13 is a 2/3 vote, and it will be read by Selectman Barbara.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $150,000 for the purpose of acquiring by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain the fee and/or permanent and/or temporary easements for public way purposes, including without limitations for the construction, alteration, installation, maintenance, improved repair, replacement, and relocation of right-of-way, sidewalks, walkways, driveway, drainage, utilities, driveway, guide rails, slopes, grading, rounding, construction, landscape, and other perpetuative and/or facilities to enable the town to undertake the Central Street Route 202 reconstruction project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 13 as read by Selectman Barbaro. Vote of the Selectmen, recommendation?
5-0.
5-0 for the Selectmen. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 from the Board of Selectmen. Mr. Barbaro, would you like to speak to your article, please?
Thank you. The town is responsible for acquiring a temporary permanent easements as part of the Central Street reconstruction project. This is Mass DOT is funding the rest of it to the point of $6.1 million. This is our contribution to make it work.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions in the hall? Hearing none, on your keypads. A is yes, B is no. And it passes by 2/3, 88% to 12%. Article 14, Mr. Barbaro again.
Thank you. I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $3,762,000 for the purpose of making repair for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of 3 phases of Old Murdoch Senior Center, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, as the fund and therefore that the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, be authorized to borrow said sum and issue bonds and notes. Therefore, pursuant to GLC 44-S7 or other enabling authority, and further that premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, lest any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of insurance of such bond and notes may be applied to the payment of cost approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of General Law, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a likely amount provided. However, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be contingency on the passage of a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion vote.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 14 as read. And the Board of Selectmen recommendation?
3-2.
Article 14 is 3-2 from the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends 4-1.
4-1 for the Finance Committee. Does anyone, we'll have Selectman Barbaro speak, and if you are interested in questioning, please come to the microphone after Selectman Barbaro speaks.
This article authorized the town to issue a long-term debt to make repairs to the Murdoch Senior Center. The repairs are identified in Phase 1 and Phase 2 assessment, reporting prepared by the engineer firm Ty and Bond dated January 2020. This article requires 2/3 appropriate approval to pass. If there are questions, the town manager has a slideshow to go along with this.
Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, it's not so much a question as a...
I need your name.
Oh, my name is Arthur Savoy. I live at 236 Front Street.
Thank you.
and it's more a statement than a question. Being a senior, I've seen other senior centers, and they're dull, drab places where they have seniors just sitting around a table doing nothing. Our senior center has activities. We have a pool hall. We have an auditorium where the town uses it to vote. We have a great cafeteria, a great kitchen. And I really feel in my heart that it should be saved. Because our seniors deserve better than to sit in some little drab storefront. I don't know if you've ever been to the Athol Senior Center, but it's a little drab storefront where they sit around at a table doing nothing all day. And we have a great Meals on the Wheel program. And we serve thousands of lunches a year. And it's a great place for seniors to get out of their house and socialize. Otherwise, they'd be sitting around in their apartments doing absolutely nothing but aging away. And in my heart, as a senior, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. We really need to save the Murdoch Center. Not besides just being a great building, but for what its heart is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have a question? Name and address, please. Comment.
My name is Richard Lucia, 236 Maple Street. I have actually two questions. The first one pertains to the amount in the article. Phase 1 was reported in the Gardner News as $1,560,000. Phase 2 was reported as $1,950,000. Those two add up to $3,510,000. I would like to know what the additional $252,000 is and what it is planned to be used for that wasn't in the original tie-in bond.
Thank you for your question. Can someone answer that, please? Either the Finance Committee or the Selectman or the town manager?
I'm not sure where you're getting the numbers.
I'm getting it from the guidelines.
Okay, that's not what we have. Let me read off the numbers to you so we can clarify. It's right on the screen.
Yep, $1,560,000.
Yep. And then you go to the second one.
$1,950,000, add them together.
Hold on a second.
We'll get you an answer.
$3,510,000.
You have $3,762,000 for the actual, which is a difference of $252,000. What is it for?
Want to make a motion to reduce that article, please?
Okay, will the maker of the second withdraw your second?
I will, Madam Moderator.
Will the maker of the original motion please withdraw your motion?
So moved.
And now would you read the motion again with a different
Sure.
number?
I'm just going to change the number. I move the town vote to appropriate $3,510,000 for the purpose of making repairs of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of 3 phases of Old Murdoch Senior Center, including the payment of cost incidentals related therefore and the funding therefore for the treasurer. With the approval of the Board of Selectmen be authorized to borrow said sum and issue bonds and notes therefore pursuant to GLC 44, S7 or any other enabling authority, and further that premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds and notes approved by this vote, lest any such premium apply to the payment of the cost of the insurance of such bonds and notes be applied to the payment of cost approval by the vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general law, thereby reduce the amount authorized to borrow to pay such costs by a likely amount, provided, however, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be contingent on a passage of a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion vote.
Second.
And I hear a second on that. Let's try it again. And I'm assuming the selectmen and the finance committee recommendations will remain the same. And Mr. Barbaro, you've spoken, you want to speak again?
I believe that we're going to stay the same at this point.
Okay, going to stay the same. Is your question answered?
Okay, I have a second question.
Okay, this is your number 2 under Robert's rules.
Yep, my second question has to do with, has the town exhausted all means of finding revenue to support the senior center? Currently, there is a subcommittee, the Winterman Community Park Subcommittee, that has been in the stages of putting together an amphitheater. They've already exhausted approximately $200,000 for layout, survey, and everything else. There was additional funds that Robinson Broadhurst has said that they would put into this project. Has anybody approached Robinson Broadhurst about that $1.5 or $1.8 million and asking if they could take that money and put it toward the senior center, thus reducing the amount, and could possibly reduce the number of years that we would have this debt excluded?
Does someone have a response to that,
I do,
please?
Madam Chair. Thank you. Yes, we have talked to Robinson Broadhurst about that. The community development was a project that Robinson Broadhurst wanted to do something new, not do a repair. They so have funded that project going forward, and we have asked them to fund that project of Old Murdoch, and they have not funded it as of yet, and I don't see them doing it. We've looked for grants all around the state to try to repair Old Murdoch, and at this time they've come up with none.
And ask them about, needing a senior center more than an amphitheater. One, you're not going to build it this year, next year, or possibly the year after that. How do you build an amphitheater with social distancing?
Again, that's what they chose to fund. That was in the planning years ago, and they wanted to do something new, groundbreaking, not something old or repaired. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. The lady in pink, I've seen you standing. Do you have something to ask? Please come to the microphone. Name and address, please.
Lori Hayward.
I can't hear you.
Lori Hayward, 236 Beachview Drive. I'm here also to ask that if you consider doing the Murdoch project, and we've already said that the people matter greatly and get good benefit. The people at the center are wonderful, in my opinion. But it's the building that I think is irreplaceable. The people will come if you buy the center. This building has amazing light, huge windows, good broad spaces, all of which the seniors, especially seniors who have limits to their vision, if they don't have adequate light, it's an amazing place. The place itself is beautiful, architecturally, a wonderful place for the town. And I think for those reasons, worthy of considering it as a better solution than to try to build something that might not have those same proportions and the same line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person in line. Name and address, please.
Danielle LaPointe, 518 Central. So first, I love the building. But again, just the same question I had before, I'd like to hear from the non-support from both the select board and the finance committee, if I could.
I think they were planning on coming forward, yes. Do I have another questioner? You need to come to the mic. Name and address.
My name is Gina Santos, 117 Mill Street. I was also going to ask about the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee, the ones that voted down, but I wanted to specify or note that I am agreements that the Senior Center is a wonderful building, historical, and should be saved. However, in this time of period with the corona, people out of work, parents struggling to stay home with their remote children, etc. Some people have lost their jobs. It's just not like the correct timing. you know, with our taxes possibly going up and so forth, and being able, without people, you know, with people out of work, it's just poor timing. I think we have other priorities in town. We have a lot of town buildings that really need our attention. Our firefighters, we had, at our last town meeting, we had talked about our fire station and how we have lack of women quarters, which is against the law. We had a woman breastfeeding in a closet, but we are concerned about, you know, giving $4 million, close to $4 million for the senior center. Our seniors will get services no matter what, and I feel for you seniors, I get that. But, you know, we also have EMTs, firefighters and such that work under very poor circumstances. Our building, there's other buildings, our DPW building, the roof has been leaking for how long? You know, we just have a lot of priorities in town, and that's a lot of money to be spending on building. The clock tower has not worked for a long time. Yes, would we love to conserve it and fix it? Absolutely. However, is the timing correct right now? I don't believe so. Maybe down the line, maybe. Will the services still continue? Have they continued? Absolutely. But I don't think the clock tower has anything to do with the senior services continuing. So I think we need to just look at grants and look for further expenses and, you know, just, I guess, financial assistance for that building. And then we also just, I don't like the fact that our fire station was kind of kicked to the curb. And that's my opinion. And I'd also like to hear from our selectmen and our finance committee that voted no on that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Fran Murphy, 19 Hyde Park Street. You know, Mr. Murdoch, at one time that was the most beautiful school in the whole state of Massachusetts. He also gave the land for the GAR Park, which we just did over, and now the Veterans Organization is going to do Streeter and Oval. I mean, it's a beautiful section over there. All that land with the building, where are you going to put another building, even if you tried to build another? You'd have to buy the land, you'd have to go through the same thing we have to go through here. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, would you please come to the mic and give us your name and address, please?
Karen Lady, 3 Doyle Avenue. Everybody has their part.
Could you get closer to the mic? I can't even hear you.
Everyone has an attachment to Old Murdoch. It's beautiful. It's got the most beautiful woodwork probably in this whole town. I'm looking at this as a 70-year-old woman who's still working. I'm looking at taxes going up. Would this be a 20-year commitment?
I believe it's 20 or 30.
Is the override for a 20-year commitment? 20 or 30?
That has not been decided yet. Hopefully it's 1 year.
So you're looking at 20 years. So when I retire in the spring, I will be able to include this extra money for a senior center that I hope I will be able to use. I know for a fact that there are many areas where people can look for grants. I work at the Gardner Veteran Center. One of the gentlemen that I work with wrote to Paul Newman's spaghetti sauce and got money for his Fitzwilliam veteran song. When the town says that they've looked everywhere, I really wonder, do they look everywhere? I love the place, I really do. I'm just looking at it as this big commitment, and then next year if we have another big commitment, as a senior, and I'm sure there are many of you seniors out here, I'm sorry
if you're home and you might be lonely, but with COVID going on the next few years, you might not even be able to step in the senior center. Who knows? I just don't think it's the right time. A lot of people are out of work. Luckily, I've been able to work from home. There are many, many people who are struggling to put food on the table and to clothe their children. I'm sorry if the seniors end up having to take the back seat. There's always parks in the summertime. Get together and have tea together if that's what it takes. But you need to realize this is going to be a big monetary commitment, not for this year, but for a long, long time. Please remember that when you vote.
Thank you. Mr. Barbaro, please.
Thank you. A couple of quick notes. Well, all we're doing, first of all, at this town meeting is allowing the whole town to vote on a debt exclusion, which would happen between now and December 28th. It's not to be voted on tonight as we're borrowing the money. It will go out to an override vote that will be held on a Saturday. Secondly, the average household of $200,000, $205,000, the average on a 20-year bond is $68. On $250,000, it's $82.50. On $350,000, it's $115,000. On $450,000, it's $148. On $550,000, it's $181. On $650,000, it's $215. On $750,000, it's $247. On $850,000, it's $280. On $950,000, it's $313. $1,050,000 is $346. $1,150,000 is $379, and $1.2 million is $412. If we delay this, every year we delay this, it costs an additional $180,000 in increased construction costs. Also, the town entered into an agreement in the 90s with the state of Massachusetts to repair and keep in good order this building. The state has the right to come in and demand that we fix it. We're looking to avoid all of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get you next, please. Name and address, and then I'll get answers to the questions that were raised.
My name is Judy Philbrook. I live at Ipswich Drive. And I've been at the senior center for about maybe 4 or 7 years now. The senior center, during this COVID virus, has delivered over 500 meals a day. These people have worked hard to keep the building going, but they've also helped the senior centers, the senior people who cannot get out of their apartments. A lot of them would love to get out, but just to get to the senior center, it isn't just what the senior center does for them, it's the sociability that they get. They need other people around them. The senior center gives them games. Sheila, who manages the senior center down there, she helps the people who don't understand the paperwork that comes in from the state, from federals and everything else. They'll say, Sheila, what do I do with this? I don't know what this means. And Sheila talks to them, she looks into it, and she helps them out. You can't get that anyplace else that I know of. Unless you go to the police station, but they're too busy, everybody else is too busy, but this place takes time out to look at everything. They call you up if you don't show up for the senior center for a breakfast or for a lunch. They call you up to find out if you're well or not. They want to know if you're, if you need any help. They don't leave you out. They're constantly there for you. You put this place to closing, and these senior centers, these people who are shut-ins, and I mean shut-ins, I live there, I know, and they will just fade away. There's a couple of them now who are actually, they're so stressed out, they're so depressed, they don't care about anything. A lot of them are just not eating anymore. But Sheila's still is delivering meals. They stop there, they talk to them, and she calls them up. It's a place where the elderly can go, and it hits everybody, including the veterans. The veterans come down there. They have a place to go. It isn't right to shut down a beautiful building that has been here for years with the most beautiful woodwork I've ever seen. And to try and say, no, we don't want to repair it, we don't want to build it, we want to tear it down and let it go. No, that's not right. Think about it.
It is our home. Look what the town did with White's Castle. It tore it down. I wasn't here when it happened, but my God, that could have been used to make money for this town. You know, anything, a museum. People would have come from all parts of the United States to see that building. But no, you want to tear down this beautiful building too? I don't agree. I really hope you vote that we keep it, we work on it, and I'm sure we can work out with anything else, with the fire department, police department, anybody else who needs the money, we'll work on it. But for heaven's sakes, don't let this happen, because once it's gone forever. It'll never come back. Think about the elderly in the town, which we have not a lot of them. Let them stay. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you. I will get you after I go to the responses to the questions. I'll finish up. Pardon? I said I would go to the respondents to the question that was raised, and then I'll come back to the people in the audience. Okay? Finance Committee, there was one member who voted in the negative. Is there a reason?
Perhaps not a popular position. No, I voted against the article, not because I was concerned or lacked concern about the senior center or Old Murdoch. I think it's a venerable building and it serves a purpose in the town. My concern is that we're looking at our needs individually, one at a time. If there's a crisis, we deal with that. What the town really needs to do is to take a look at all its needs and develop a master plan so that we can take care of the senior center, we can take care of the fire department, we can take care of the schools and the buildings that the town owns in a thought-out, progressive way. So my concern is not that we shouldn't address the needs at the Old Murdoch. It's a question of developing a comprehensive plan to meet all of the needs in the town.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. From the selectmen, I believe it was 3-2. Does anyone wish to speak to that?
Yes, Madam Moderator, I voted no. I first off want to point out that the seniors aren't gathering at Old Murdoch due to COVID concerns. That building is perfectly functional. They will be able to use it as a senior center once it's safe for them to gather. That's the only reason why they're not using it as a senior center. And I also have concerns about grants that could be out there for, it's a historical building. We haven't explored all the grants. And the other thing I'd like to point out is, we still don't know the economic impact of the pandemic. We're still in the midst of it. We have businesses that are closed. We have people out of work. We have parents staying home with their children because the children can't go to school. So I don't think now is the time to take on any capital improvement, and I don't think it's the time to ask our taxpayers to pay additional taxes. We need to put it aside, but I fully support that building, and I fully support the senior center, and I understand it's a beautiful building, and it's the perfect building for the senior center. We just need to put it aside for now.
Any other comments from the selectmen?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would like to reiterate Selectwoman Salter's comments. I would like to state that the senior center is very near and dear to all of us. We love this building. I love the people that work there, and they do enormous amounts of work. Nobody's disputing that. But I would also like to reiterate what Chairman Kane said, and we have to do long-term planning. We have to be smart. We don't know what next year is going to look like. We don't know what next month is going to look like in Winchendon. And we have to be smart. We have to do long-term planning, and we have to go after every grant, every financial opportunity to help us save Winchendon as a whole community.
Any other members of the board wish to be heard? Yes, Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd just like to point out a few facts to the town. Hopefully you've all read the Community Master Plan that came out September 2020. They're looking for input. When you go through that, it's going to give you a very good picture of the town of Winchendon. We have an aging population. We'd love to get younger families into it, but we have to face, we do have an aging population. The median age was 31 in 1990, and now it's 41.3. 40.7% of all the households in town have at least one resident over the age of 60. They point out in that community plan, as the population ages, more investment may be required to deal with health, housing, social, and transportation needs of seniors. The senior center, the way it stands right now, two sides have been fenced off because of bricks falling from the top. Those two sides had entrances to the building. The only side that's left open, fortunately, is the one with the ADA compliant elevator, which this town put into that building. So, Ty and Bond in their engineer report says, other than the roof, that is a solid building. All the floors are good, everything inside is good. All we have to do is fix the roof, and we have a building that could go for 2 or 3 more generations. If we don't act, and we really have to act now, because wind, snow, and ice is only going to accelerate the damage. Now, I hear people say, put it off, but putting it off costs up to $180,000 every year we delay. We can do a lot with $180,000 and let it just build up every year. As was pointed out, what's the tax? Tax is 67.94 cents a year on a $206,000 home. $5.66 a month. That's all they're asking for our seniors is $5.66 a month. I think that building and I think our seniors deserve it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will have to name and address, please. I was trying to motion for you to come up to the mic.
Lynn Murray, and I live at 32 Goodrich Street now, and I've lived here my whole life except when I went to college. And I just wanted to clarify one thing. Mr. Mentor and I are the ones who wind the clock. The clock does work if you're listening on the hour. I go up and make sure about that, and Mr. Mentor does, okay? Sometimes the hands are a little off, but it's great machinery up there. So I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. And the other thing is, I'm not going to go on and on, although anyone who's had me in class knows that I have, but I won't, okay? So, something you got to think about. I just would like people to think about the soul of the town, okay? And working on together. And like, just think about the park and the school and pride in your community, all right? And everyone else has talked about the specifics, and the only specific I give you was about the clock. It really does work, okay? So just listen if you're done, okay? Thanks. I would encourage you all to vote to keep that going.
Thank you. I'll come back over to you.
I just want to make a quick note on the person that was up here. She had made a note about tearing down the building. I don't believe that was the intention. We're not looking to tear down the senior center, and that was never ever the intention. We, you know, I think we're looking to eventually, you know, I'd like to support to eventually upgrade or fix the senior center, but I guess my opinion, it just, the timing and to put more taxes on an already burdened taxpayers, it's just not appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Wayne Cresco from Congress Drive. We've seen the different amounts for phase 1 and phase 2, but we're not talking about phase 3. What is phase 3 and how much is that projected to be? And, you know, are we going to be coming back to get more money in a couple of years?
A response to that from someone on the board or the town manager?
The phase 3 would be $1,720,000, and that's not estimated between 5 and 10 years after phase 1 and 2 are complete.
Thank you. Do you have a question? Name and address, please.
Lisa Barbaro, 375 Brown Street. I know this is a lot of money, and I just want to say that no matter what you think about it, how you feel about it, I think that this is important enough to leave to all the voters of the town, that it shouldn't be just up to us here tonight, that it should go to a town-wide vote.
Thank you. Have I reached everybody? Oh, please come to the mic. Name and address, please.
Susan Birdsall from 84 Lincoln Ave. Just some questions about the specifics. The way that this article is written, it is only contingent on the passage of a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion vote.
Correct.
And I wondered if any other options have been discussed that could possibly be used in any other way to pay for the phase 1 and phase 2. And also, if any other plan other than going forward with a set phase 1 and phase 2, if other options had maybe been considered where some repairs, such as the roof, the most critical, the most necessary repairs would be done first without going into a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion.
Thank you. Do we have an answer for that?
So the rationale between phase 1 and phase 2 is to get the repairs done as quick as possible to maintain the building's integrity. That will buy us time for phase 3 later on in the year, future years down the road. If we were to separate the projects into different phases, if we would say just to do phase 1, because it's a municipal cost, by combining them, we save money. It costs more money to do them separate than it is combined, because it would just drive up the cost on each individual phase. Instead of it costing the total that we're proposing, it would cost more because you're separating it and you're spreading it out over time.
Thank you. Are you wishing to speak? Name and address, please.
Guy Santos, 117 Mill Street. I say that we vote to amend the article just to fix the roof.
Are you making an amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Would you repeat your amendment, please, and put it in writing?
I vote that we amend the article, appropriate the money to fix the roof. That's the most pressing need.
Okay. Is there a second on that amendment?
I second it.
I hear a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the article for only the roof repair.
Oh, no, wait, I take that back. I couldn't hear it first.
I'm sorry, that's why you need to come to the mic. I can't hear you. I think you took back your second, but I didn't hear what you said.
Arthur Savoy, 236 Front Street. I apologize, I couldn't understand the young man, and I'm taking my second back because he just wants to have the roof fixed.
Yes, that's what he's...
We need the building fixed.
That's what his amendment is, yes. So you're taking back your
Yes,
second.
ma'am. I apologize.
Okay, not a problem. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
I hear it moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment to only do the roof?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Barber? Oh, Mr. Ward, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just for clarification, because phases 1 and 2 do deal with the roof. Those are the two phases that must be done to secure the roof. Phase 3 deals with such things as repairing all the windows in the building, which is that's why that one is not required to be done for about 10 years in the future. The windows are pretty good, but they do need some work down the road. So phases 1 and 2 must be done in conjunction to fix the roof.
Thank you.
Ms. Grove?
Yes.
Hi. Just so you're aware, just fixing the roof does not solve the bricks falling from the building around the clock tower. That is the part of the immediate need, is to repair all the masonry around the chimneys and stuff to keep the building from falling. Just fixing the roof does not solve the problem. It allows water not to get in, but still water's getting in around the flashing, and where the bricks are worn on the corners of the building, you can see blowing out. This will continue. And it will make all the work on the roof useless, because if the walls blow out, you'll have a bigger problem.
Tina Santos, 117 Mill Street. How about the DPW roof? Have we been concerned about that for how many years?
Excuse me, I believe this is your third time on this article.
How about the DPW roof? Has that been fixed?
It's already been funded, thank you.
Has it been fixed?
It's been funded, thank you.
Has it?
I believe...
How long did it take?
Excuse me. Thank you. Before I call the amendment, I asked the gentleman to put it in writing. I need that in writing before I can call the amendment.
You don't have a second.
I did have a second, yes. Are you putting it in writing or not? No. Okay. I don't move ahead with the amendment. Okay, I will call the question. All those in favor of Article 14 as read by the member who made the motion? A is yes, B is no. This requires a 2/3 vote. Please vote. (62 to 38). It does not pass. The motion goes down. Okay, Article 15 will be, Article 15 will be read by Selectman Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $106,125 to make road improvements on the unaccepted portion of Mellon Road.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 15 as read. Is the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen is?
4 to 1.
4 to 1. And the Finance Committee recommendation is?
The Finance Committee took no action on this article as the Selectmen modified it after the public hearing had taken place.
Thank you very much. To the maker of the motion, please present your facts.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article authorizes the town to repair the unaccepted portion of Mellon Road, determine the needs and bounds of the roadway, and fund any necessary legal expenses to prepare this section of roadway to be presented to the voters for acceptance as a town road at a future town meeting.
Is there anyone in the hall who wishes to be heard on this article? Do I see a hand? You need to come to the microphone. I will not recognize you until you're here.
Yes, hi, my name is David Watkins. I live at 235 Mellon Road, and I just want the citizens to know that I built my home back in 1998-99, and Mellon Road at that particular time was a completely upgraded road to a paved road, and the road is an ancient road that was actually a town road, town way from the 1700s. So in doing the upgrade, they were able to issue building permits, driveway permits, and everything necessary for us to build our homes. On those permits, it states in writing that, in particular the driveway permit, it was a requirement if my driveway exited onto a town-maintained way. We have that all in writing. Now, the particular road in question is so badly degraded, Repairs ceased in the spring of 2018 on that road. And what we're trying to do is get the road repaved, which it's in dire need. As far as just filling the potholes, it's so far degraded that filling the potholes will not solve the problem. The fix of the pavement is definitely going to give longevity to that road. There's 19 residents on this particular section of road that pay property taxes. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard? Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 15 as read, yes is A, B is no. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold that thought. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Bill Shea. I live at 275 Mellon Road. In regards to this article, I have to say, we bought our house 20 years ago. We bought it on a public road. It said it was a public road on our paperwork. We would have never bought it on a private road. Just a few years ago, about 2.5 years ago, the maintenance started to go down on our road. I questioned it, asked to fill potholes, and now for the past 2.5 years, we've been going through, we've had to hire lawyers, we've had to fight with the Board of Selectmen for support on this road. Our road is in terrible condition. We really need repairs for this road. This isn't our first choice on this road, though. This was kind of forced down onto us. There's two other options later on, later options that the residents on the road would prefer more. So this $100,006 bill here is not really something we're asking for as residents, okay? This is a means to remove the tar from our road and make it into a dirt road, okay? That's gonna lessen our road, the quality of our road, all right? We have, our road abuts state forest, we have hunters, we have logging trucks, all kinds of stuff come through there. And so this is two other warrants later on in this document that are preferred options. This is not the option that we prefer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barbaro?
Thank you. On the Mellon Road, we are proposing to pave it, to do it the right way, so we can bring it back and accept it. The second article, if this one to fail, would be a temporary fix, which would only allow us to fill the potholes and still take no action on the road. The final article coming up later on is only to be accepted by the Board of Selectmen. The vote here is only a recommendation. It carries no weight.
Okay, yes, please come to the mic. Name and address, please.
Mark Norworth, 245 Mellon Road. If we vote for this article and we vote for Article 27, we won't have to spend the 30 or 40 grand to survey the roads that's already built into this one, so it will be cheaper than the 106 grand.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, my apologies. If we vote for this article and Article 27, we don't have to do the survey that's in this number. So there's 30 or 40 grand that we'll be able to save. If we do Article 27, it allows the town to treat the road as a public road, which it is, and they've admitted it, but then they won't have to do the survey, which they're saying they have to do in this article. So we can vote for this one and 27, but remove the cost of survey. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is there anyone else? Hearing none. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Kim Shea. I live at 275 Mellon Road. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I just wanted to express my thoughts that in this article, the wording talks about our road being an unimproved road. I feel like it's a bait and switch because we bought our houses, and we bought our land, and we bought our property, everyone in the back there that lives on Mellon Road, as an approved road. And somehow over the past 2.5 years, change in administration, that has been a battle that we've been fighting. We have attorneys, we've been in legal battles with the Board of Selectmen. So the wording is a little off, and I just wanted to make you aware that to me it seems a little bit of a bait and switch. It's actually not, in our opinion, in our attorney's opinion, an unapproved road at all. So I feel like you need all the information on it so you can make a...
Thank you. I'm sorry I missed you. I just did not see you above the... Okay. Okay, just a reminder, if you intend to speak on an article, please come forward to the mic and just hold your 6 feet distance so that I will catch everybody.
Madam Moderator?
Yes. Name and address, please.
I'm Lisa Musgrove. I live at 535 Mellon Road. I'm on the part that is accepted. But I'm in full support of the rest of my neighbors. I don't even have to drive down that end, but I'll tell you, we've walked it plenty of times. The holes are gigantic. I can't express enough how bad this road is. And it's about 2 miles long. It's not this little road out in the middle of nowhere. It is huge. It's a long road with a lot of residents on it. Last year, the big school bus had to go all the way down and turn around in order to get a number of kids from the road, including my children who go to school in the system. Yes, my daughter now goes to Monty Tech. She has to be picked up at the end of the road. There are a lot of other children who also from the road go to Monty Tech as well. The big bus can't get all the way down the road because of the condition of the road. I believe, like my husband and I, we've been in our house for 23 years, and our part of the road is accepted, and our neighbors feel the same way. The whole road was accepted. They wouldn't have been able to be allowed to build their houses if it was not an accepted road. Now, my question is, do we vote for this article or not? I am not clear on that, so I need to know how to support my neighbors and this road. Thank you.
Madam Moderator? Yes. Thank you. As the lady before, I don't remember, Amy, I think it was, said, yes, this has been, we've had a lot of discussion over the past months, years, since the Mellon Road people first came forward. We have not come to an agreement as to the legalities. There's been a lot of discussion about contractors and not fulfilling promises and the town doing this and doing that. So I would ask you to, look into it, look at both sides of the story. The board brought this article forward as a way to kind of start meeting in the middle. The word that you questioned was unaccepted. And a few articles ago, I moved an article to accept a section of Central Street. According to our rules and regulations, for a road to become a public way, it has to be accepted at a town meeting, in a town meeting setting. And for various reasons, this part of Mellon Road does not meet that requirement. And that's part of the discussion that we're having, and part of the differences of opinion. So yeah, it is a horrible road. I don't think no one disputes that. So it is a very complicated issue. So that's all I can say. Some of you, this may be the first time that you're really hearing about it. So it's a tough decision, but it is a very complicated issue, and just please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Labrie. Sir?
Mark Rower, Mellon Road. I'd like to point out that when we all bought our homes, everybody on the street got a loan, and there was a title search done. At the time that I bought my property, my title search was done. At the time I bought my property and the title search was done, my title company said it was a public road. I'm a geography major, so of course I looked at the maps when I looked at the property. All the maps on the town website show it as an improved road and a town road. And I don't know how 19 title companies came to the same conclusion, but the town didn't. And it's never been, the town's written status right now, when I did a request, is that the road is a private road. Our attorneys dispute that, and they haven't provided any proof that it is a private statutory road. And that's where all this mess comes from. And we're talking about Murdoch building to snow and ice, making the walls fall down. Well, if we had just fixed the road with pothole patches 2 years ago when we asked, when this all came about, we wouldn't be needing to repave it now. We would just be patching a few holes every year, like 1 or 2, if we'd just done it like 5 or 10 2 years ago. But when the town ceased to do it, we passed the point of no return with ice and erosion, and now it's just destroyed. And we're talking about saving a building for that reason. Let's save a road. We're talking about lives on the road. At least the building, we can close off the entrances when bricks are falling. We can't avoid the holes on our road. We've already had an accident on a pothole that I complained about, that I know 4 neighbors of mine complained about before the accident. The police put it in the accident report that that's what caused the accident. And so we're just asking that we remedy this and we don't do it again. And if we send a clear vote today, what's going to happen is the town hall is going to understand that the people want roads fixed and maintained. We want everybody to be happy in this town. And if anybody has a problem with any potholes, Mellon Road residents will go to bat for all of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, last call. Anybody else wish to be heard? Yes. Have you spoken twice? Once. Okay. I'll remind you it's the second time.
Hi, once again, David Watkins, 235 Mellon Road. I just want to say what Audrey LeBrie was talking about, that the road was not properly done. Back in 1998, my section of road was, once again, it was upgraded. There was an agreement with the town. There's documentation stating this agreement. It was all signed off by the planning board. I have documentation from town meetings that state that Mellon Road in its entirety will always be town maintained. Once again, in its entirety. That is written from town meeting minutes. And I have those documents. Unfortunately, they are not recognizing the fact that 20 years ago, the wishes of the town, the planning board, the Board of Selectmen was to maintain all of Mellon Road. We need to get that road maintained once again. It's been maintained for 29 years. The last 2 years, they stopped maintaining it. Spring of 2018, they drew a white line across the road and said, town, not town. The problem is, it's all one continuous road. We all pay the same taxes. If it's some document that should have been, it certainly isn't something that the citizens did. It's a document that the town never followed through on to acquire. It may have been acquired. There's other documents in question that cannot be found around town. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know now what's happening is my services have ceased. They are no longer maintaining that road. We do need it maintained. Spring of 2020, February, that school bus in question did get stuck down the end of the road. No one would come to help. There was a citizen that went out herself to aid the bus. It was full of children. No one came to help that bus full of kids. And that's the end of the road that is full of potholes. They got stuck in 2 huge holes and could not get out. So please, I'm asking the citizens to vote yes on 15 and yes on 27. That will stop all this road confusion on Mellon Road. Thank you very much.
And the vote on this article is only this article, not 27. Last call. Okay. If you wish to support Article 15 as read, it is a yes on A no on B. Please vote. Majority vote, it is held 82% to 18%. Article 16, Mr. Ward.
Madam Moderator, in light of the action just taken on Article 15, I move to pass over Article 16.
It's been moved and seconded to pass over Article 16. All those in favor signify with a yes on A or a B on no. Reset? Reset. Okay, we'll try it again as soon as it's reset. Once again, you're voting on Article 16 to pass over, and that is 1 or A for a yes, 2 or B for a no. I'm stretching. Oh, he's rewriting the... We're voting. Okay, A for yes, B for no. Please vote.
Not working.
Not working. Now go. There it goes. Oh, that was fast. 94% pass over, 6% not to. Okay, Article 17, Selectman Labrie.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $40,046 to fund the FY20 budget shortfall in the wastewater fund.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 17 as read. Board of Selectmen's recommendation.
Board of Selectmen recommends to approve 5-0.
5-0 from the Selectmen. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 from the FinCom. Selectman Labrie, would you like to speak to this article, please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This is asking the town to spend a little bit of free cash. There was a budget shortfall in the wastewater fund for the last fiscal year. So this will allow us to plug that hole and, wastewater, plug the hole, don't let it run out, and we'll move forward.
Does anyone in the hall have a question? Hearing none, all those in favor, yes is an A, no is a B. Please vote. (83% to 17%), the article passes. Article 18, Selectman Barbara.
I move the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $165,032 for capital requests detailed in the warrant.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 18 as read. The amounts are identified for you in your packet. The Board of Selectmen recommendation.
5-0.
The 5-0. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0. Mr. Barbara, would you like to speak to this, please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article would fund capital needs for public works, police, and the school department for the next fiscal year.
Are there any questions on this article from anyone? Hearing none, all those in favor, please press A or 1. All those opposed, B or no. Motion passes 86 to 14%. Article 19, Selectman Salter.
I move that the town vote to transfer from the deficit legislation special reserve account the sum of $323,776.09 into the Finance Committee special reserve account.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 19 as read. Recommendation of the Board of Selectmen.
5-0.
5-0 Selectmen. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0. Selectman Salter, would you speak to your motion, please?
This article transfers the funds accumulated in the deficit reserve account into a Finance Committee reserve account that could be used during fiscal year 21 for unanticipated emergencies.
Thank you. Is anyone in the hall have a question? Does anyone have a question? Hearing none, all those in favor, A, yes, B, no. Please vote. Motion passes 88% to 12%. Article 20, Selectman Anderson, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to transfer the following balances of prior capital appropriations into the general fund to offset the existing long-term debt appropriation as required by Mass General Law. Purchase of a Toy Town Elementary boiler, $521.02, and the acquisition of a fire truck for $161.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 20 as read. Selectmen recommendation?
5-0.
5-0. Selectmen. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 from the Finance Committee. Selectman Anderson, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article will close the balance of 2 capital accounts into the general fund.
Does anyone in the hall have a question? Hearing none, all those in favor? A is yes, B is no. Please vote. And it's 97% to 3%. Motion passes. Article 21, Selectman Barbara.
Thank you. I move the town vote to transfer the current balance of $14,000 in sale of town property reserve accounts into the general fund to offset the existing long-term debt appropriation as required by Mass General Law.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 21 as read. Board of Selectmen recommendation?
5-0.
5-0. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
Selectman Barbara, would you like to speak to your article?
Sure. This article will close out some capital accounts and move it into the general fund. Sale of some properties.
Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? A, yes, B, no. Please vote. (94% to 6%). The motion passes. Article 22, Selectman Ward.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to accept Bayberry Circle and Pinewood Drive as town ways as outlined in the warrant.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 22 as read. Recommendation of the Board of Selectmen?
4 for it, 1 against.
4 to 1. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0. Selectman Ward, would you like to speak to your article, please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article seeks the acceptance of Bayberry Circle and Pinewood Drive as town roads.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, please come up, and I'll take you next. Please come up to the mic, but stay 6 feet behind, or take the other one. Name and address.
Lucia, 236 Maple Street. My only question is, are these roads completed? Is there anything that Mr. Van Dyke, are these roads completed? Is there anything that Mr. Van Dyke has not completed on these roads?
Are these roads complete?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Next, name and address.
Wayne Fresco, 95 Converse Drive. There's 400 feet of the Bayberry Circle that is not complete. And is there a escrow account to cover the finishing of it?
Response, please.
That part of the road is going to be signed as emergency exit only. It was never initially part of the original design. That's only for use for fire trucks and ambulances only, not as part of the regular road.
So, according to the map, it's the whole thing. So can we amend it to be what it actually is, whatever the length is minus the 400 feet that's not paved? Because you're accepting the whole thing.
You can make an amendment. You can amend anything at a town meeting.
Madam Moderator, this may help. This was a question that was brought up when the Board of Selectmen was reviewing this article in anticipation of this evening. And our Director of Planning and Development, Tracy Murphy, was there, and that question was asked. And I have some notes here. She said that the developer had gone to the Planning Board and requested an amendment on the permit to retain that portion of the road, just as a dirt road, due to the fact that there's a National Grid pole in the right-of-way. So that was amended per the developer's request to the planning board.
Okay, name and address, please.
Nick Dumo, 126 Bayberry Circle. Honestly, this vote's just to make sure the town's held accountable.
You need to, and you need to speak into the mic. You're a little tall for it, but.
All right, this vote's just to make sure the town's held accountable. There's 38 residents on that road on Bayberry Circle and Pinewood, sorry. You know, we all bought those houses anticipating it's going to be a public road and state town maintained. I know a lot of us would have bought those houses there if they weren't going to be maintained by the town. So, you know, that was part of the original agreement in 2004 when the town accepted all these lots so they could collect property taxes on these homes. So this vote's just to make sure they're held accountable so we don't end up in the same situation as Mellon Road in the future. The road is brought up. It's paved, I believe, last fall. Perfect condition. Everything's good. It just needs to be maintained from here on out so we don't run into any issues down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, name and address, please.
Miriam Jean Pierre, 156 Bayberry Circle. So I bought the land, built my house on it, and my house is the one right at the edge of that dirt road. I spoke on this virtually at a meeting in April. I spoke to an Allison. She sent an email to a Mr. Al Gallant. I have not received any response in regards to this email. For 2 years, I have watched people speed through that dirt road. I have 2 little children. There are children on the road who play through on Bayberry Circle. That road has not been fixed. It's been patched. There are potholes, I guess, in anticipation of this meeting today. Brown Street was paved and the dirt road was flattened. This, to me, I express concern because when the school bus drops the kids at the edge of that, at the corner, and they come walking through over ice, they slide through the ice. If someone gets injured on my property or on that edge, who's responsible for that? I'm not going to take responsibility for that. So I need some kind of what's going to be done with that edge because my property sits on that. Who's going to be held responsible for that?
Thank you. Someone have an answer to that? Yes. Tracy Murphy is coming up along with Mr. Gallant. We'll get you an answer. You can come 6 feet behind her, you know.
I don't know, I'm sorry who is speaking. I don't know.
Can't hear you.
I'm just looking for the person that was speaking. Can you repeat a little bit of what, I missed some of what you had said in the beginning. I apologize.
Need to come to the mic. Thank you.
Right at the edge of that dirt road.
Correct.
So ice pools at the dirt road because it's potholes. When ice and snow falls on it, you can't help it because it's a dirt road. Who's going to be held responsible for that?
We had gone down there to look. Al, you could come up. We had gone down there because you had raised the concern about that edge. And when the DPW director looked at it, he said if that had been accepted at a normal time in May, we would have already graded that, and that would have been taken care of. He couldn't put it on his regular grading sequence because we didn't own it. We couldn't grade it, so we couldn't take care of it. So that's why it hadn't been taken care of. He still can't grade it until after this meeting. Once the town owns it, we can do that.
So I'm asking the town to please own it. So because I'm not going to be responsible for anyone's injuries at that.
And I think I did hear part of your question was the speeding back and forth.
Yes, there's some type of speed bump. I just paid $900 for potholes that my car suffered because of in that area.
That end where the dirt was, the developer did get a modification of their original plan. That is going to be gated off. That is not going to be That's an emergency exit only. It's not for regular traffic.
Okay.
So that should take care of that.
All right. Mr. Galan, do you have any comments?
Last weekend, Mrs. Van Dyke hired a crew that came in. They fixed all that road. As far as I know, they did a very well job. And it's flat and fixed, and they actually combed it off or taped it off for now. Because what they were saying was people going in there and doing, burnouts and whoop-de-doos, just to have fun, I guess, but
It's not people that, it's the speeding through there at night. We have other people who don't live in the area who speed through there. So some type of, if cars are going to some type of speed bump as well, because we have little children playing outside on the street.
it will be gated off as soon as we own it. Hopefully after today, we'll own it. We'll gate it, and it'll have emergency vehicle signs. Police and fire will have keys, and that'll be it.
Thank you very much, Town.
Next person in line. Name and address, please.
Kelsey Schultz, 55 Bayberry Circle. I just want the town to know that we do have police, fire, and DPW that do live in our circle and on Pinewood Drive currently. And I am a stickler for calling Kathy Van Dyke every single winter we've lived there to come plow and send the sand truck down because our road is glare ice and those gentlemen cannot get out to save this community in the event of an emergency. So please, I really ask you to adopt our road.
Thank you. Lady in yellow. Name and address, please.
Allison Beccarello, number 95, Bayberry Circle. In agreement with Kelsey there that just spoke, I'm also an emergency personnel, and I need to get out as many times as I can because we are not accepted as a road. So I please ask if you would accept this through the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Tina Santos, 117 Mill Street. Is there any way that we can stop Van Dyke from developing? Because it seems like there is so many problems with so many of his developments and such, as well as, wasn't there like developments that came up on Central Street that he didn't pull permits for, that was just on beyond Gourmet Donuts?
I believe he's dead.
Well, his wife or whoever is now in his trust, because, and then the whole Mile Ave issue.
Madam Moderator, can we
Enough is enough. We keep bringing,
Thank you for
we're
your
wasting
comment.
town meeting time over his
Thank you.
crap.
Sir, name and address, please.
Fran Murphy, 19 Hyde Park Street. Is this, it took 16 years to accept this? Is that a normal process for a development? I'm curious.
Mr. Barbara? Oh, Tracy? Ms. Murphy?
And and if there would have been an accident, or we plowed that, I know we did. So if there would have been an accident and it wasn't an accepted road in Bayberry? It wasn't accepted. I'm just curious how it works.
Second question first is it's not accepted, so the town has no responsibility on roads at currently. First, the original approval was in 2004. Just after the approval was awarded, the town voted a moratorium on building, which created some legalities with the developer in the town. Also, what happened was the boom, the market crashed and things. The state allowed permit extension acts, 2 separate permit extension acts. The developer came in, not quite sure what year, got another extension, and then Mr. Van Dyke passed away and his widow took it over and made an effort to finish the project.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands, therefore, all those in favor of Article 22 as read, yes is number 1, B is no.
Didn't go.
94 to 6%, the article passes. Article 23, Selectman Labrie.
Sorry, Madam Moderator, I'm a little confused because I got the zero with the line through it when I just tried to vote on that last one.
You want to try this again?
No, everyone else was doing, maybe there was just a problem with mine. Thank you.
Non-working model here.
Okay, Article 23, I move that the town vote to accept the parcel of land known as Grout Park, shown on Assessor's Map 5C4, Parcel 5, from the Winchendon Redevelopment Authority.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 23 as read. Selectman recommendation, please.
The Select Board recommends approval, 5-0.
5-0 Select Board. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommended 5-0.
5-0 also. Selectman Labrie, would you like to speak on the article?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Everyone knows this as the corner of Glen Allen Spring where the bike path parking lot has been extended. There's a beautiful flagpole there now, some beautiful greenery. It has been and is at the moment under the authority of the Winchendon Redevelopment Authority. If this article is passed this evening, it will then, ownership will then pass to the town, and then it will be the town's property moving forward.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, A is yes, B is no. Selectman Labrie, check to be sure yours is working.
Thank you.
$98 to 2%, motion passes. Article 24, Selectman Salter.
Thank you. I move that the town vote to transfer the care, custody, and control of the town-owned property located at 4 Summer Drive, as shown as Assessor's Map 5B3, Parcel 0-160, from the tax title custodian currently held for the purpose of tax title, to the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of conveying for such consideration, including acquisition of other land in addition to or in lieu of cash payment, and to authorize the board to acquire any such land by purchase, gift, or eminent domain in exchange for the town-owned property, and for such purposes as the board deems in the best interest of the town, and upon such other terms and conditions as the board deems appropriate, and to take such additional action as may be needed to effectuate the purpose of this vote, including but not limited to execution of instruments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 24 as read. Board of Selectmen recommendation?
5-0.
5-0 Selectmen. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommend 5-0.
5-0 Finance Committee. Selectman Salter, would you like to speak to the article, please?
Sure. This article authorizes the town to dispose of town-owned piece of property taken by tax title.
Any questions?
Did I say that?
This takes a 2/3 vote of the body. Please take out your handy dandies. And A is yes, B is no. Please vote. $91 to 9%, motion passes. Article 25, Selectman Barbara.
Thank you. I move the town vote to transfer the care, custody, and control of town-owned property located on Summer Drive as shown as Assessor Map 5B3, Parcel 0-158, from the tax title custodian currently held for the purpose of tax title to the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of conveying for such consideration, including acquisition of other land in addition to or in lieu of cash payment, and to authorize the board to acquire any such land by purchase, gift, or eminent domain in exchange for town-owned property, and for such purposes the board deems in its best interest of the town upon such terms and conditions as the board deems appropriate, and to take such action as may be needed to officiate the purpose of voting, include but not limited to the execution of instruments.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 25 as read.
Board of Selectmen recommendation,
5-0.
5-0 for the Selectmen. Finance Committee recommendation,
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 for the Finance Committee. Selectman Barbara, would you like to speak to your article?
Thank you. This article authorizes the town to dispose of an owned piece of property taken by tax title.
Does anyone in the hall have a question? Do I see a hand back there? No, okay. Okay, all those in favor of Article 25 as read, this requires a 2/3 vote. You're voting yes for A, B for no. Please vote. 93 to 7%, motion passes. Article 26, Selectman Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 59, subsection 5, clause 22nd H, inserted by Chapter 218 of the Acts of 2018, known as an act relative to veterans' benefits, rights, appreciation, validation, and enforcement. The BRAVE Act.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 26 as read. Recommendation of the Board of Selectmen?
Board recommends 5-0.
5-0 for the Board of Selectmen. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 5-0.
5-0 as well. Selectman Anderson, would you like to speak to the article?